All right, greetings. Good week to everyone again. We're going to get started with our live weekly meetings and conferences. We talk about revocable living trust. We talk about private banking. And we also talk about power of attorney on these calls week in and week out. A lot of the information that we've been going over lately for the last few calls have been taxes. So we want to continuate with taxes as much as possible because we're getting closer to that 31st date of December 31st. So we always tell people to make sure you add up all your debts, all your expenses, and your bills between January and December of whatever year that you must add up all of your bills, debts, and expenses. This is new to a lot of people because we have never been shown or taught about financial literacy or financial accounting. It is something that we do have to take our time and learn as much as possible because we understand that there's so many different gurus or certain different financial accountants and advisors and things of that sort that may not go along with your understanding of the trust. And we have to be sure to say that when you're doing a revocable living trust, it's similar to doing most of the information, we'll say customized. So everything that you have is a custom plan, only specific for you. So there's no way to copy and paste it. We can do as best as we can to give it illustrations or examples for free, but we understand that whenever someone needs something on a one-on-one base, or if you need direct answers and questions or details to your specific situation, it does entail more things. So we just want to keep it realistic as much as possible with these calls, but these conferences are designed to answer all the questions for free. So there is no question that we can't answer. I know a lot of people put it out there like they have all the knowledge, but we don't tell you something that we don't know. Like if I don't know what I'm talking about, it's because I didn't do it yet. Or if I've done something, it's because I know that it works and I know that it will go through. So we want to make sure everybody has full knowledge, full understanding as you do these things that we talk about with the revocable living trust, because it's totally different than what somebody talked about maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, because we just found out new things with the revocable trust that just came up in the system because we couldn't see it before until the system updated, such as the government updated, the IRS updates. All these things are updates. So imagine your computer is still dated back to Windows 98 or Windows 95 or something, right? You will probably feel like, wait, why am I have this old, outdated information? So that's what we're doing. We're hoping to give you the updated knowledge, the updated information about revocable living trust. Why do we start with revocable living trust? It's because it's the only trust that can prove that you're living. All the other trusts don't prove you're living. We're not saying they don't work. We're not saying that you can't use them. We're not saying to throw it away. We're just saying, hey, do you also use the revocable living trust as much as you use those other trusts that you have? So this is very important for us to grasp that this is not to take away any of the things that you have done. This is more to sharpen your skills to get you ready for the world, get you ready to utilize and operate these things as you learn and develop these skills. So that's my introduction. I'm one of the instructors. My name is Wallace Lewis Temple Jr. You may call me Ra, Raak, Temple, whichever one is best. I basically come in as an instructor. I'm one of the founders of University Technicians, but I'm not the only one. As you all can see, we had a recent guy that came in, phenomenal presenter, phenomenal teacher, phenomenal financial advisor, and Vince Edwards. He was able to do this from working with us since 2020. So Vince came a long way because we were able to learn these skills, learn these trust games together. So that's what everybody's here to do. We're here to build our businesses, build our brands so that we can learn how to express this and teach this to other people. So I just want to make it clear this is no competition. This is nobody saying that someone's process works or doesn't work. We don't do processes here. We only can show you what the law says. We only can show you what their website says. So we don't like to go into anything that we can't show you or prove to you. So I want to make sure that's clear. If anybody has new information or new knowledge, or maybe they don't have time to get on the Sunday calls for free, we're just here to express that all the knowledge and information, you should be able to see it and you should be able to make a decision right then and there of what it is and what it's talking about. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help present and get us more evidence to feel comfortable and feel confident how we can use the revocable living trust and how you can talk to your entities, talk to the government, and talk to other people around you. So with that, I'll open the floor up for anyone that want to start off with any hard questions in the beginning so we can get everything a little fired up, or just share your testimonial of what has worked out for you since you started your revocable trust, or what is not working out for you and why you don't like. Some people can even show an expression of why they don't want to use the trust. We want all types of answers and understandings and where people are coming from so we can figure out how to get it all together. So let's say somebody say, well, I don't want to use the revocable living trust. Well, we want to understand that perspective. How is there many ways to skin a cat? And why do we feel this way? Why do we feel that there's many ways to skin the cat? So that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about all these different ways that everybody thinks or anybody has knowledge of working. We want to talk about it. We want to be able to express it and get it out here so everybody can learn. So with that, I'll relinquish the mic for a moment, give someone else a chance to express or give any knowledge that they may have so far. And I yield. All right, sis. Do we have anybody so far? No volunteers. Who has a revocable trust that may want to express why you use your trust? Maybe you have a new name. Why do you use the name of your trust to operate?
Well, I actually do have a quick testimonial. I have a revocable living trust, and it's on the county, and I sent it to the Social Security Administration, the IRS, and to attorney generals. And I haven't, I put them on all the court cases in both states, and I just did that this week, put those certified copies and all that on each separate case. So I'm looking forward to that. The one thing I just noticed, I was watching a video. I think Vincent, you were talking about something, but one guy mentioned that he stopped receiving child support letters, and I just realized that since I sent that, I have not received anything in the mail from child support. So I haven't. It's working as it ought to from what I see. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the process and getting my taxes done. So
Well, that's a wonderful testimony because you're expressing that you gave notice to these entities. That's what we'll be talking about later, well, in a little bit too, of what do I do? How do I give notice? What am I doing? And you really just said how you did it, but we just want to make sure everybody else has felt like they have done that too, and they have the revocable trust. So that's why we're here to talk about it. Like, how would you do it if now you have this trust? Let's say you paid tens of thousands of dollars for your trust. What do I do with my trust next? That's what we're saying. Like, let's say your trust is worth tens of thousands of dollars. What would you do with the trust next? And I think self trust just showed us an example of what he did in a very short testimonial. So, does anybody else have any questions or answers to what they have done with their trust or what they may can do with their trust? Feel free. Anybody have a revocable trust instrument that they may want to express what they're using so far? Maybe you have it and you don't know what to do with it. Maybe you've had the EIN for like years. What do I do now? What do I do with the EIN? What do I do with the trust instrument? That's what we're here to talk about.
Hello, can you hear me
All right.
okay?
Okay, we got somebody on the mic. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I see two mics open up, but go ahead. You go first.
Yeah, just because, I do want to figured out a lot more of how to use what I have because I have had my revocable trust for some time now. And there's always this disconnect in because I have the trust, I know that there's going to be like a flow, so to speak, and it's always this issue of I think I grew up listening to everyone and not really forming my own opinions and things like that, forming my own process, my own understanding of it. I feel like since I am at this like paralyzed state, I really don't know what I'm doing just because I don't know where to go. Like I have what I have and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it now as far as where do I use the name, and then if I want to use a different one, by what circumstances, it feels like to me it's just a bit, I don't want to say confusing, but it's just a bit, I'm unsure as to based on the dynamics of what businesses I'm trying to run or what dynamics I want to have with my business relationships. I want to know for sure, like if there's a way for me to reference what dynamics I'm going to have with, like, for example, if I just have one business name, LLC, can that do like a number of things? And then do I have to have like a different business name to do other stuff? Like the revocable living trust can do this, but then it can't do that. So then I do have to get another name to do this. Or if I want to also do this, then those things shouldn't both be done under one name. But it's all these different questions that I have that I'm so unsure about that I just kind of feel paralyzed.
I hear you, and that's fair. That's fair to say that you have all these questions. So let's slow it down. Let's go right back to the beginning. The beginning is that you have the revocable trust. Is that correct? You do have the revocable living trust, right? I just want to make sure we verify that you have that. So you have the trust
Yes, I
instrument,
do. I do. I'm
and
back and forth in the kitchen. So,
oh, no problem,
yeah.
no problem. You have the revocable trust instrument. You have that EIN, whichever we say that is too. So what I would do next, some people say, well, I take it, I place it on the public record, which is some people are against this. They'll say, well, why did you put your trust on the public record? Why are you giving your trust in the public, right? We'll have some issues with even that, right? So that is the problem. Firstly, is that it is a business, firstly. So your trust is a business. What you're doing with your trust is the trust is becoming your foundation, which I'll be talking about that in just a few because your foundation is supposed to own all of your businesses. So if I had an LLC, the first thing that's going to happen is my trust is going to now be the owner of the LLC. I no longer want to be the owner of the LLC. I need to have the trust own the LLC. So that's the first step. It doesn't change names. You still use the same names. So I would go into that perspective as a foundation. That's why we have to pull it up on our records so we can make sure our trust is activated in their system. So this is why someone asks, well, why do I do this? Well, you want to activate your trust in their system. Any questions or thoughts to this part? Because this is just the next part. Some of us put it on our court cases. That also activates it in their system if you place the trust on the court case. This is just a layer of the county court or the county, what they call the county clerk of courts right here. So yes, you do that, and then you do business with whatever LLC name that you're doing in that state. Then they have a state registry website that you use. So that doesn't change business, it just changes your structure. That's what I would say, the structure changes. I also want to answer another question about what somebody else had a mic, but I want to answer that next question too that you brought up. But who else that came on the mic that wanted to express? I think Flo was able to say something. We have somebody else.
I did want to just ask about next steps since the revocable living trust is on each case. What would be the next thing to file? Is it a motion to reset or dismiss, or what would you recommend.
Right. So you're saying like if you have it on there, you're talking about just dealing with the case itself. That's a court case.
Yeah, I'm looking for the trust to accept all charges, and then looking forward to getting their W-9 information and doing what I learned from Vince. I just
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know
That's an
how to.
ongoing active case, right? A
Yeah,
ongoing active case. Got you. Okay.
absolutely. So I don't know what to do next so that I can walk in because I mean there's warrants and stuff, so I don't I want to play this right.
Yeah. I guess what you can do is you can do a, like you say, motions. You can find out the documents they have at the county that they accept. That's like a motion to get rid of your warrant. You get motions to do all types of things. It just depends on what way you're coming at it. But if you have your trust, it's supposed to be just simply the way Vince shows it. He shows it that you're actually, I think what he's saying, you're doing the QSIP, so you need the QSIP number for your court case. Maybe that's your next step.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because there's a lot of court cases, and I don't have $150 for each of them. I've got maybe enough for one, and that would be a tough place. So if I
But just do
were
the case number. Do the taxes on your case number for now.
okay on the case number, okay,
Yeah. So if you don't have the funds, just file the taxes on it anyway, and then get
good,
your QSIP eventually because you need the QSIP
hmm
because it shows exactly how much they're getting off of your case.
great. I'll go that route.
That's the easiest way to deal with a court case. Now, if you're fighting them, they usually have people that's ready for that, and they have multiple lawyers. They'll just keep passing your case over to the next person. That's just for anyone that's listening to that. So if you're trying to fight them, I know there's processes that shows you to fight them. Um, do your best. Do your best that you can. All right, we had somebody else had a hand up. We had Aaron had a hand, or maybe just was expressing something.
Yes, well, that's me. I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. We're listening.
Yes, when you have the trust on place, okay, it's in the county record, right? How can you use the trust to take care of the utilities bill? Can we talk about that? That's one thing I want to learn. I mean, how can I use the trust to pay for the utility bills like the light, water, phone bills? You know, I know this is a way. I just don't know I don't know how to apply.
Exactly. So that's a good question. So I would use the trust at the utility company. I would use it by placing the utilities first into the name of the trust.
It,
So I wouldn't use my name or my social for the utility bill. That'd be the first step. Um, if I were to use it in my name, let's say if it was in my social, then you have to do the beneficial interest process where you file your taxes to get the money to pay for the utility bill. That would be the only other answer if it's in your social. So it depends on what situation you're in right now. So if it's the utility bills in your social, then you
it,
have to do the process with your social.
it's in the trust. It's in the trust. So if it's in the trust, what will be the process?
If it's in the trust, it's the same way. You just would do the same thing with your tax return. So it'd be a 1041. Also,
1041.
yes, and you also can file it with your social if you know that you're the trustee. So that's the
Yeah.
other thing we've been doing. You can put it on your Schedule C on your 1040.
So I add up. I add all the all the payments during the year and put it in the 1040 or the Schedule C.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it's supposed to go. The Schedule
Oh,
C is is the TTEE.
yeah. Awesome. Great.
How does that work? How do we prove the Schedule C is the TTEE? What does it say at the top of the Schedule C? Anybody know what does it say at the top?
Oh, I need to look into that. I need to look into that. I know.
Let's pull it up on the screen for us. Let's go to irs.gov. What is the words at the top of the Schedule C?
Income something. Let me see.
Now, what does it say? What does it tell you that it is at the top?
It's a profit or loss from business.
Exactly. And what type of business is it?
It's a business. It's a business from the with the trust through the trust.
But what is the type of
10,
business?
1040.
No, that's the form. But what it's right
Yeah,
there at the
that's
top, y'all.
Sole
Hold on. Look.
proprietor.
Thank
Sole
you.
proprietor.
Thank you. Somebody said it. It's right there, y'all. It says it right there. Sole proprietorship, right?
Let me see. Let me see. Oh yes, I see it. I see it. I see in the bottom. Yeah, I know how the glasses. Yeah, I see it right there in the bottom. So proprietorship.
No problem. No problem, y'all. Just want to make sure we're all looking at it together on the screen so we can get to the right answer together.
Great, man. That's beautiful. I like that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. It's no problem. So let's say even if the bill was paid in the trust, this what Vince was talking about. You claim it with the beneficial interest, but you're also able to make sure that it's on your Schedule C. For those who understand the Schedule C understanding.
I have
Now you
a
got to do
question
everything.
about this sole proprietor.
No problem.
So before I had a deeper understanding of what the sole proprietor was, having it be the social security number, I went ahead and applied for an EIN for a sole proprietor with using my name. I'm wondering if I should cancel that, or if is that going to affect my social security sole proprietor?
Well, short answer is no. Only way that you can deal with that now is if you gave all the money over to your social security card, sole prop. So let's say the sole proprietor EIN was able to get a line of credit. Then you would have to pay the social security number.
Okay, so I could use it as a utility for the social security number.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
The same way the LLC. So it'll be the same thing if somebody put the LLC information here. It's no different than the that's why the Schedule C is it's a rabbit hole sometimes when you start getting into the Schedule C at times with the trust. But I hope that answers your question. The sole proprietor is a business, but it doesn't take you into the sole proprietor, which is at the top of here.
Okay, so just for clarity, if I were to fill out a Schedule C, I'd fill it out for the social security sole prop instead of the EIN sole prop?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
do not do the EIN.
okay, cool.
See right here? So this is where you have to write it where people can see, like, do not do the EIN when you do the Schedule C.
And so I just write that on it when I do the Schedule C for IRS purposes, so they know.
No, it's not for them to know. That's another thing. The IRS
Okay,
doesn't need to know this, you all. You need to know this.
okay, okay.
The IRS is just going to verify that you know. And it's so basic. You know, when we look at these forms, they're actually very basic. I know it can seem complicated, but we're going to go into more basic understanding. So I hope that answers your question. You want to activate the social security number as the proprietor, just for those if this is your first time hearing this. And if that makes sense to you, that's what the trust is doing for you. That's why I was showing you the screen before that with the trust. You have the revocable trust instrument, and that's on the county record. Let's see if we can find that. Yeah, but that's pretty much the answer. Anybody else had a question? I hope I answered the question about the utility company too. because utility company is going to say that you have to pay them. You have to pay them cash, or you have to pay them a money order. Is that how it works for utility companies? Okay, so this is the option that we said with the trust that you can choose as well. And I'm going to get off of this for a moment just to kind of make sure we clarify when you guys got the EIN for the trust. The EIN for the trust is going to be the revocable trust. This is what gives you the TTEE status right here when you check this box right here. Revocable trust. So when we heard someone say correct your status, get your status corrected, this is the status correction right here, part of it. Any questions on that part? Because that may be a difficult choice because you got a lot of choices right here. Conservatorships, custodianships, guardianships. Remember you say you got to take the guardianship from the state? This is what Vince is talking about right here. See, they have a guardianship trust over you. It's right here. Look at this. I didn't even know it was just written right here. Guardianship. Irrevocable trust. Yes, the state can create irrevocable trust. The governments can create irrevocable trust too. You see, they got their option right here, you all. We're going all the way down to revocable trust though. So if you're here and you're new to this, this is what we're saying in the system. You got to be updated in their system. And you got to know what you're doing. All right, so that closes out from that screen right here. What we were trying to speak on earlier was questions about using the trust instrument, using the EIN document, using like, what do I do now? Like I got the documents. I had it for like 10 years. I had it for 5 years. I just got it or whatever, like 2 days ago. These are the things you're going to be able to do with these documents. You don't want to sit around on the docs that we call the trust instruments. So these are your trust instruments. The EIN document that the IRS gave you, we call that the certificate of trust. So your certificate of trust is that same EIN printout that the IRS gave you. So they certified your trust. They gave it to you as a printout. They told you you can use it as a business the same day. But a lot of us started and we waited too long. And we thought we had to do more once we got the trust. So I like to say this is how it looks right here. As you see an EIN printout, give you all some illustrations of that. That is what you're going to be doing when you deal with the trust. You want to make sure you have the documents and you're actually using them on a day-to-day basis. All right, so I have no more. Anybody have any other questions or thoughts about the documents, such as the trust instrument and the EIN document that you get from the IRS?
You know, I feel like I'm probably conflating, but now we start talking about if I'm using it on a daily basis, I think about like ID and like stuff like that. But we really just kind of go through the trust with that. So you show you're a trustee of the trust or something like that. Like if someone wants to see ID and all that kind of thing.
That is correct. Exactly. You're going to start seeing yourself as trustee, even with the ID. That's correct. So that's another thing that we talked about earlier in our 1099B group call. We talked about this, and I'll share this with you all about how you're supposed to send a certified copy of a revocable living trust with a copy of your driver's license, social security card, and your birth certificate to the state attorney, to the entity like the social security office and things of that sort, right? That's where this power is coming from. You're taking guardianship back from these offices that have people at their office, right? They have guardianship over your document, right? So you have to tell them, hey, I have guardianship over my document now. That's the way this works, you all. So you have to have that documentation. It's not just, we're going to get into some places because I already overcame all of your credit card companies. I'm going to show you all and prove to you that I already know how to do this with any credit card that you got. I know for sure it doesn't matter if it's on the personal side, the personal credit card gotta convert to a revocable trust. So we're going over every bill and every entity. That's where we're at right now. So I hope that answers the question where you take over guardianship, because the guardianship is what the trust is doing. The instrument, the document printout that we got our thumbprint on, the 3 signatures, all that stuff, right? Why do we do this? Why do we get the document executed? The reason why is so we can take over our estate, take over the financial accounts over of the name, right? That's the key thing. Yeah, so that's the answer to what I would respond to if somebody asked about what to do with the instrument. What do I do with the document? How do I approach it? I approach it by taking over the account. Okay, let's go into our first screen. If no one has a question, let me go to my first screen to help you all with more details of what I'm trying to express. And I'm telling you, this is really coming straight from their office. It's not me making these things of my own, like I didn't create it, but I want to just show you where I got the answer from. So before I go into the answer, anybody else have any thoughts to the revocable trust instrument, as well as the certificate of trust instrument that the IRS gives you? The IRS printout that they give you, they'll give you a certificate of trust. Okay, so if there's no questions on this, let's go straight to the Social Security office. I'm gonna show you where the guardianship, they tell you about revocable trust. Okay, so this is where you see the Social Security Administration office right here. It says Social Security. This is an official website of the United States government. So when I went to the United States government's website, I went in just like anybody else could. And I just wanted to check and make sure that my revocable trust has weight and it has power to do some of the things that I was told or I'm thinking, right? So I went in and I typed the word revocable trust. So when I typed this word revocable trust, lo and behold, I received multiple links to articles that tell me about this process of how to do this. They'll even go into the legal status changes right here. As you all talk about the naturalization, some of us may have that issue where we're trying to figure out questions. Does the revocable trust work for this for me? Yes, it does. It actually helps you even more if you understand how to use the revocable trust. Changing your immigration status, your incarceration. Here we go. So we know that the incarceration is an important factor for certain people. They'll say, hey, if I'm incarcerated, does this work? Yes, it works. So I want to use their website to get into a lot of the answers. I don't go into a whole bunch of other places first. I try to go straight into the website, do my study, do my understanding, and this is how it works. So when I did this, I was able to type it in, and then I got to the next screen. And this is the screen that it got me to right here. It says Spotlight on Trust, 2025 edition. And you can find this right here on their website. Looks like they had as of January 1st, 2000, the Supplemental Social Security Income SSI law on trust changed. This information applies to trusts established on or after January 1st, the year 2000. Okay, hold on a sec. Okay, what is a trust? That's the first question they ask us, and they tell us the answer right here too. What is a trust? A trust is a legal arrangement regulated by state law in which one party holds property for the benefit of another. In certain situations, a trust can be set up for an SSI recipient. All right, so SSI, you all see it means Social Security income. So the income of that Social Security is what they're saying. They're actually literal when the government uses their words. That means every time that Social Security number is used, that is considered to them the way they understand the Social Security. Now it says right here as well, it says in certain situations, a trust can be set up for an SSI recipient. So this answers the question for our elders, for all our people that's out and they say, well, my granddaddy got retirement. Will this trust mess up his retirement? No, the trust won't mess up the retirement. Will this mess up my Social Security benefits, my disability, all these things? The answer is no. So we're going to use the Social Security's website to get most of our answers about trust. A trust can contain cash or other liquid assets. All right, so they told you straight up the cash, the liquid assets that in that trust. It says and real or personal property that could be turned into cash. So that's your houses, your cars, the things that the IRS can seize. That's what they see it as, real or personal property. How does a trust affect my SSI benefits? If you use your assets to establish a trust on or after January 1st, 2000, generally the trust will count as your resource for SSI. Look at that. So your trust will count as your resource. So even the Social Security office is telling you that the trust will count as your resource. Interesting. Here we go. So this is where we get the word revocable trust from. Look at this. In the case of a revocable trust, the whole trust is your resource. Wow. The whole trust is your resource. Not the first page and the last page. Not the signature page and things that they tell you. They tell you, hey, don't worry about putting your whole trust out there. Why not? You want to make sure that it says the whole trust is your resource. In the case of an irrevocable trust, if there are any circumstances under which payment could be made to you or for your benefit, the portion of the trust from which payment could be made is your resource. Here we go. So this still shows you being the trustee of the irrevocable trust. They're still showing it to your resource as you. All right, so we got both sides of the trust, the revocable and the irrevocable, showing right on the Social Security website. So right here it says, what things count as assets and are used to establish a trust? Assets usually include your income, countable and excluded, resources, countable and excluded, and property or payments that you have right to but do not receive. Are there any exceptions to the law on trust? Trusts under sections 1917 D4A of the Social Security Act, which are often called special needs trusts, and trusts under 1917 D4C of the Social Security Act, which are often called pooled trusts. We will also not count the trust if counting it causes you hardship if you meet the undue hardship criteria. Certain revocable trusts under section 1917 D4A or C of the Social Security Act may still count as your resource. All right, so I'm not going to read through everything in detail, but I'm giving you some answers to what the Social Security office that we're talking about. When people say, "Hey, why do I take my why do I take my trust, right? Why do I take the revocable living trust to the Social Security office?" Then this is where you can give them this knowledge of where this came from. So like, hey, this is what it said on the website. Or we can print it out, right? Go print it out, make sure you read it, make sure you understand it. You don't need to know every single detail, but you just need something to feel comfortable to go to the Social Security office. Right, so this is where you get this information from. Look, they tell you right here, how can I find out more about setting up a trust? Look at this. Social Security office tell you straight up. This is interesting. We cannot tell you how to set up a trust. Wow. The Social Security office says we cannot tell you how to set up a trust. You may consult a lawyer or financial advisor to find out more about trusts. All right, so that's where we get into this answer. So either you put in the time, we say that they always say to master something takes about 10,000 hours of studying the trust, and you can become a financial advisor, or you can become a lawyer that has that credential that studies trust. So now you've mastered how to do trust. But most of the time, people, they don't know how to do this, how to set up a trust. That's why they say they cannot tell you. They do tell you your local Social Security office has lists of groups that can find you a lawyer or give you free legal services if you qualify. You may also contact the state or local bar association or the Legal Services Corporation for legal assistance if you qualify. So they may give you the trust for free if you just ask and see what's going on, at your state, your legal services and so on. So it's very interesting how they lead you into the right direction still getting the revocable trust. So I hope this helps with layers of understanding where this is coming from, because this is the Social Security office that I'm showing you all. This is just my first diagram for today. So let's get into some more details of what we wanted to talk about. The first part that we asked the question is, how do I give notice that I am in a revocable living trust? Can I do all of the taxes with just my trust? We want to answer these questions today. The short answer is yes. Nothing that stopped us. You could have done the taxes the day that you executed the trust. You can do all your taxes. Then I showed you the screen before that, gave you the screen the IRS gave you. It told you once you chose your option with the trust, they gave you the two forms that you got to file that we always say. So this is not me saying this is my process. I didn't create a process. I'm just showing you as an instructor the right answers. I don't want to give you the wrong answers, so then you can say, hey, he didn't tell me this was the answer. But I wanted to show you the screen that you filled out when you got the EIN. So the EIN says confirm your selection of what? Revocable trust. We didn't say irrevocable. We said revocable. So once you got that revocable EIN, that's what's going to activate this whole thing. With people say, well, how do I know I can do the ABB process? How can I know for sure that I can do the 1099A, the 1099B, the 1040, and so on, right? This is what proves that you can do this. A revocable trust is a trust in which the grantor retains the right to revoke and reclaim property. Look at that right here. This is what it says. The right to revoke, that's your power of attorney, reclaim property. Reclamation also means beneficial interest too. That has been placed in the trust. In a revocable trust, the grantor has control of the trust. Look at that. Who's the grantor? That's you. That's the Social Security number. That's you as the Social Security card. The power to repeal or annul and will pay the taxes of the trust on Form 1040. All right, so all the taxes on the Social Security card, that's why we say the social side is the 1040 side. The grantor will also file, look at it, look how they say will also file 1041, U.S. tax return for estates and trusts for informational only purposes. All right, so we want to make sure it's clear. The 1041 side is for information only purposes. That keeps you on the trust side with the estate EIN or the trust EIN. So I wanted to go into zoom into this part to show where this all came from, where it all started, and how you know that you could have started doing these processes with the 1040, 1041 right here from their screen. All right, so let's go to another. If there's no comments or questions on this right here, does anybody know about the revocable trust selection to make sure that your status to do the 1040 and 1041 has been updated in their system? Any questions on that part? Okay, so we got our next question on the board. It says the 10. Okay, somebody else mentioned to elaborate. So let's go. I think the next question will tell us how we can elaborate into this. So the next thing we have is the 1040 and 1041 filings on our announcements. What's the difference? Why does it take so long to get the treasury check? It's one of our questions we had out there. Go ahead. We got Maduti L. Wanted to possibly elaborate. Would you like to elaborate, Maduti L, on the trust and the filing of the 1040 as the trust?
Yeah, Brother Wallace, I really just kind of just join in. The 2021 is what that's the one. So like they want to add 180 days to that. They since starting in October, so I don't know. It's actually supposed to be the biggest one. Different representatives saying something about the biggest one refund. They want to say that to the last, but you know, it's still done by the same software, and I want to be able to let them know, or to be able to send them the revocable trust, so they know they're dealing with a person that has, you know, the trust. Um, 48, uh, sure, I just want to say that,
All right, we're losing you. We're losing you. The phone's going out, breaking up a little bit.
well, how much did you hear?
Yeah, I hear you now. You sound better.
You know, it's the only one representative kind of told the truth. She said because it's the biggest one, and you know, we since they verified it in October, they ain't find nothing wrong, and I don't, you know, no, I I feel that I will get treated a little better if I send them information showing that I have the revocable trust and the 2848A, because you know they're talking about 180 days. First, it was supposed to be mailed out November the 17th, and then you know how some representatives. So I don't know why that representative told you this, you know, like you making it up or something. You know, I hate when they do that. I don't know why that representative. I mean, y'all work at the same office. So that's what made me call again, because November the 17th, that was before Thanksgiving. I still didn't get it. And then I found out it wasn't mailed out yet. So I need to let them know that I have a revocable trust. So I need to at least have that 2848A filled out to be sent to them. Because I need to really know, to make sure I fill that out right, because I know somebody that sent the 2848A, they didn't do it right. So they sent it back to them. I just don't have time for that. And the fiduciary, you know, because if you still, in their eyes, if you still an individual, it's like, I believe that they will hold back information if you're still an individual. And I mailed, I first mailed these taxes off all 5 years back in April. 40 years got taken care of, but it's just that 1 year, 2021, which I had to go to the office in my state to verify it. I had already verified it. The next day, they'll say, okay, you verified it, because the software didn't print one line, but they already got all that information. They told me wait 6 to 9 weeks. They told me that in September the 10th, 6 to 9 weeks. So that already passed. I would have made November the 17th. Here it is, December the 30th. 2 holidays then came through. They got always getting a holiday, but already passed days and weeks. I believe they need to know about me having a revocable trust and the EIN. They're gonna need. I'm gonna need to send that to them. I need to send that 2848. Hey, because I don't have no other problems from what dealing with them in the past. Some about this particular year, and she said it's just a random pick, just like the verification. There ain't nothing about you used another name or you had a Morris name. She says none of that. It's none of that at all. It's just your random pick. What That's how some people are. They're random picks for verification. A random pick for the identity. They sent me a 6-digit identity pin, just like they did when I was using that, when I was following that Morris paradigm when they had the other name. But that all that stuff expired. They said, yeah, but you used it under your social. You know, I used the same social because I was going to turn it into a business. You know, that didn't work out. So that didn't go forward. I didn't get a chance because I was going to turn that into a LLC, that my duty name. I never got an EIN number for that, and I didn't turn it into an LLC. So I explained all that to them because they thought it was an identity thing because of the other name. I said, nope, I didn't go through no identity thing. But one representative said I can opt out on that. I don't have to use that PIN for 2025. They sent that to me in the mail last Saturday. That was the last letter I got. It was with the PIN they sent me.
Hmm. I have a question. So basically, you're saying you did all this year, where you went back 4 years, 5 years, right?
5 years. Yep.
And then you were able to do all this within the year of 2025 or 2024?
2025, because I didn't meet you until the end of 2025. And
2024, I mean, right?
I started talking to you in 2024, but I didn't have my transcripts then. So I didn't do all the 5 years in which I was behind. I didn't do that until April of 2025. All 5 years
Got
I
you.
mailed in to Ogden, Utah. Then they said it should have been Philly. I said, well, I'm just going by what the representative told me what to mail in. Then they say make a copy of it, write duplicate on there so you won't end up getting no two refunds or from the two files. They sent me a bunch of letters. They showed me the breakdown of where the refunds went. I paid all them those years. I don't owe them nothing. They took 2024, part of 2022, 2023. The state offset that. The U.S. Department of Education, they said there was no offset because your student loan was already forgiven in 2019. I said, I didn't get no letter saying that. They said, well, we're going to send you your refund. They send it within 2 weeks, quicker than the IRS, U.S. Department of Education. So that was actually one that I actually got in my hand. 2020 and 2021 is the only one I ain't got yet. 2023 was offset. 2024 paid the old years when I had owed that 16,000. So they took that and showed me the breakdown, showed me, everything. They sent me letters, you know. So the only thing they sent about 2021, they're talking about 180 days after the shutdown was released. I said, well why is that? I mean, they said, well, we was going over. I said, I was at the office verifying 2021. You went through that. I was in the office for a half an hour. You didn't see nothing. You said, well, everything's fine. Wait 6 to 9 weeks. We looking at everything. They were looking on the computer. They said, okay, you've been verified. We don't see nothing else wrong. Yeah, I used the same software, Free Tax USA. So it just wasn't done with no other software. They asked me what software you use. I told them, just like with the other years. The other years paid the balance. So I need to have them. I need to show them that I have that trust. I know the sole proprietor did the 1040 Schedule C. They looking at it, they said, yeah, we got that. I took my filings down there. Okay, yeah, we have it. We just
All right,
wanted
so,
to.
so question. So you're saying that there's nothing wrong with the Schedule C, with the social?
There's nothing wrong with that. They said nothing wrong with my filings. That's why they sent that 4 years. They took care of it. 2021 happened to be one of the 5 years.
Interesting.
It's very, very interesting because I use the same software.
Right, we're all using Free Tax USA. I understand.
Yeah.
Like that's
So
the
why would it be a problem with 40 years is okay and one that makes 5 is not okay? But they can't find nothing wrong. And one representative, she kind of laughed a little bit. She said, "It's because it's the biggest one. It's the biggest one. None of the other ones would ever tell you that." But she was real, real nice. And she told me the truth. Probably she told because it's the biggest refund. They want to say that to the end, so the end time. So they've been looked over. They done looked over it about 10, 15 times. They can't find nothing. They can't find nothing wrong. Some representatives will get arrogant with you and make sure you check over and check everything. I said, yeah, just like I did the other years. Why did you send me the refund for 2024? Why did you send me the refund for 2022? Why did you send me the refund for what was it 2020? And they had that breakdown because I had owed what was it 5,000 or something for 2020. They took that. How was it taxes not done right and you took the refunds? You sent me the refund. You sent me the breakdown where the refund was applied to. It's almost like it's the twilight zone for the
well,
wireless.
this is new to the system. So we're learning as you're even giving testimonial to this to people who are listening. They never knew that, hey, I had to go back and file my taxes 5 years. That you're giving a testimonial to someone who probably feel the same way. They haven't filed taxes in like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I know
And
some too. They talking about they ain't gonna file because they still part of that other group. I say, okay, don't file and see what happened to you. You're gonna lose everything. Your business, your house. Okay, because the IRS don't play. And I was levied for 2 months.
I understand. You gave
And
us
they
that
pay that
testimony.
back. And the interest. They sent me a letter said, well, we owe you 300. The IRS told me we owe you $341 for the interest. So your new refund. I got all the letters. I said, what is this? So
Hmm.
it's like they don't want to tell you the truth. The biggest refund, like if I knew I'm getting 100,000 out of one of those years, they're gonna make sure they save that one for the last. They're gonna make sure they make you wait 180 days. Them
Oh my.
21 weeks and them 3 months and no 2 months. You'll get those before you get the biggest one. Now she told me that. She was nice. She didn't have to tell me that. But I know how I've been dealing with them ever since I had done the set for value. I mean, that's a whole process. But even all that went through. They didn't say, "Oh, you did. We found a discrepancy in that, and what you did that with that." I used it's Chapter 11, HJR 192. Sent all that to them. They took it, sent me something saying code 63 something. I ain't got it on me. The said taxes was paid, release of lien and levy, and I used 7 years dealing with the scripture because of the debt forgiveness in Deuteronomy 15, verse 1 and 2.
So you just were creative. It doesn't matter how you did it. You just basically was able to pay it off,
Yeah, they
filing your
took it.
taxes.
And now when I learned from you, I still got to get the refund from the set for value. I got to see what year I did that in 2006. When I was studying with another group because I used that old Cracking the Code book and then I said, I'm gonna just go ahead and just try this.
Well, don't try anything that you don't know. So you know this is true. So
Yeah,
don't
I know.
go into something that you may not fully know yet. But let's get into the next layer of this because I wanted to make sure I answered that. You answered it for us. Thank you for this testimonial. You answered the question of why does it take so long to get the treasury check? Why does it take so long to get the treasury checks?
Because I only
Right.
actually got one treasury check in my hand. I got one, and then, like I said, because they had already done took them paid, I already done paid them. I don't owe them nothing. All in 5 years, they've been paid.
Mm.
And all I want to know, I just want to learn how to do the 28. I sent you that what you had applied to, you what you were saying with the monthly. I sent that to Jillian. Then I sent that because I wanted to set up a meeting, a Zoom call like I did maybe
Okay,
monthly.
no worries. Yeah, we can get you in that monthly session.
Yeah,
We
I
got
sent
you
that to
activated.
them.
No
Yeah, I
problem.
sent that. I
Yeah, we
just
got
need to
you
let
activated.
them know, Brother Wallace, that I have a revocable trust. I recorded my trust in the Wayne County Registers of Deeds. They recorded. Then when I went back there to just to certify, she put it up in the system. It's still in the system. So she gave me it was 3 pages. I just tried it and it's 21. I got 21 seals. 7 times 3 is 21. And she said, if anything else you got to record here, Wayne County Register of Deeds, it was in the real estate department at Wayne County Registers of Deeds. That's where I did my trust. So, and of course, I had sent the job. I sent them the W-9 with the name of the trust and the EIN. They're the only ones that sent that to my personnel. I did all of that.
That's perfect. And the way you're giving it is more detailed to what we're almost at. So I think your next, as we're talking to you, is the Social Security office. So you got to get your trust over to the Social
Oh,
Security office.
I sent them. I walked in there. Now the guy didn't want to do it at first. I even gave the Social Security Administration my W-9. He took it and added it too. Now I want to go back to the Social Security, see that same guy, and show him and give him a copy of the certified copy of the revocable trust. Because
There
I
you
gave
go.
him the W-9 already. I watched him put it in the system. So I gave the Social Security Administration my W-9. I gave the post office my W-9.
Interesting. So basically, you're
Wow.
using it as an employee in the system too, and you're using yourself as the trustee of the revocable trust
They
while
just
being
don't have the revocable one. They just got the W-9 with the revocable trust and the EIN listed on the W-9. Because there's
Mhm.
also sole proprietor on there too.
Right, but you have to
From
choose
bold level.
trust. But you
Right.
only have to choose trust.
I choose trust. And now all I have to do is get the Social Security Administration my revocable trust that I recorded at the Wayne County Registers of Deeds.
No problem. I like how you went into the register
She was
because
real
into
nice.
everybody's county. So we're
Uh-huh.
gonna definitely learn how you're gonna be able to talk about what you're
She,
doing with that too.
she asked me, Brother Wallace, do you have any houses? I said, no, not yet, but I'll be
Mm-hmm.
back. She asked me, because
Mm-hmm.
usually they wouldn't record nothing. Do you have any houses you want to put in this trust? I was shocked that she said that. I said, no, not right now. I'll be back. They're trying to help because a lot of people and some people from the other groups been coming down there recording their trust. And then she said, I just want to check one thing. If you could be the grantor and and the and the trustee. So one of the other ladies said, yeah, I remember that question. Yes, he can. So, and this was a supervisor. She said, okay, I'll go ahead and record it. I got that information from one
Okay.
of the representatives of working office. Yes, you can be the grantor and the trustee of your trust.
Interesting. So when you go to the county recorder, you got to know what you're saying. You got to say, I want to be the grantor and the trustee in my revocable living trust, when
Yeah.
you're reporting it on the county record.
It didn't take long at all because there was hardly nobody in there. She just did it. She, you got anything else to record? Then the other lady was nice. You got anything else to record? I'll be back. Okay, then we'll see you then. So you just got to talk to the right people, and at the IRS, you got to talk to the right representative. Because some of them may be acting kind of jealous, and they say, "Wow, you getting that much back?" They ain't gonna say it to you, but one lady did almost mention that because it's the biggest, largest amount. Because the 2021 is the largest amount,
Mm, I
and
understand.
she straightened out because when I looked at my 1099 from Uber and Lyft, she said, "See right here, the post office said W-2. Uber and Lyft says 1099. It's on the transcript." I said, "Oh, thank you for telling me, ma'am. I overlooked it." She said they know that Uber and Lyft wasn't paying the same amount because they split it up on the transcript. I said, "Okay." She explained that. The other representatives wouldn't. They just said, "Oh, does Uber pay the same?" And let's see, that was to throw you off. No, I didn't drive for them that long.
So what you're saying is these representatives at IRS, after you called them and talking to them, they all got different personalities. They all got different answers and different understandings of things. So yeah, at first you were supposed to receive the check, but then they pushed it out from what your testimony's telling us about another 180 days.
Yeah,
That's what the letter says.
because of the largest amount. Because the other lady said, "Well, I got good news. 2023. Now that might be offset." And I called the state of Michigan in Lansing, and they said it wasn't in their system yet. I said, "Well, I got the letter saying you got it." So they took uh, the refund, but they said they only applied 5,511, and I was supposed to get the 7672, which was really supposed to have been 8,300, but 2014 had an interest that was due. So it was like, they took about 500 something from that. And then the letter said uh, the Treasury from United States Treasury and then the Michigan State Treasury, and they showed the amount that they took. So then I called a couple of weeks after that, and they sent offset. But the IRS said, "No, call them again and see if they got it now." Because we sent you the letter, and they had them on there for the offset of 23,000. That's when Vince had came in, when I was talking to you, and he had came in on the phone and said, "Do the 1099-B on them for
Got
the
you.
state of Michigan, 23,000 old years, old years."
No problem. So this is your interaction with the IRS directly, as you
Yeah,
can see. So your interaction is a testimony to us today is to use that revocable trust. That's your last part that you want to get done is get that revocable trust to them. And then
and I
we're going to
need
talk
to
about how they talk about this in just a few, as you allow me to
28. Well,
get
I
into
need to
that part
learn.
too.
Yeah, Brother Wallace. I need to know how to do the 2848 and the Form 56. Because it's like I can fill out part of it when I'm looking at it, but I don't want to make no mistakes because I know other people, they sent that back to them. So I don't want to be one of those people, they end up sending it back to me. So I'm going to need help. So I just want to schedule a meeting,
Oh
a
yeah,
Zoom.
absolutely. We got you set we got you set in the system to get you in with the one-on-one session per month where we have you as the grantor member. So thank you for
Okay.
that and all the testimonial that you gave us about this trust and the revocable trust and why this is important to have this. And you're using it as a trustee right now, it seems that but as a trustee, this allows you to
Yeah.
use it for the job, use it for any place you
Okay.
work,
Yeah.
all these things, right?
Yeah, because I gave the Social Security Administration, I know I'm repeating myself. Social Security Administration got the W-9. The United States Human Resources have the W-9. The trust is on the W-9. The EIN number is on the W-9. So I just wanted to ask you one more question before I let you go. Oh, who else can I send a W-9 to?
Right, that's a good question. I would send the W-9 to the. Did you get one to the clerk, your county?
No, I have not went back to the registers of deeds. Um, no, I didn't get in one.
Okay. So what else you
Okay.
got? You got your who's the other person you got?
What about the state attorney general?
That's what I was about to say. Exactly. Your attorney general or your state attorney. I think
What,
that's
what about vital statistics? Would you get your birth certificate? The treasurer up in vital statistic, will you get your birth certificate? Can I send them the W-9?
yeah, yeah. I mean it's I guess the state vital statistics, I think that's what you're talking about. You just get the Secretary of State W-9. Just, like I say, that's an endless thing when you talk about W-9, where
Yeah,
you're dealing with all your entities, but we're not gonna go that far today into that
yeah, I
because we
understand.
know the W-9 can give more thoughts to what people are gonna say, hey, what do I do with this W-9? And how do I fill it out? Right. So that's another talk that we'll talk about later, how to fill out the W-9.
And should it be notarized?
No, you can't notarize a W-9. You just
Oh,
fill it
okay.
out and you sign it.
Because this is a tax form. Okay, so the
Yes. All
28,
these forms that we're trying to tell people to do, there's so many
they're
forms, but
tax
we're trying to
form.
get you through the
Yep.
beginning of filling them out. Like you say, look at all these forms you mentioned. You mentioned Form 56, they got 2848. Look at this mentioned over here. Power of attorney. That is correct. But we're going to talk about why the foundation of all this right here that you were talking about. So I wanted to show the IRS screen right here.
Uh-huh.
How your trust is a private foundation.
It's
That's what I
very
wanted to tell people
important.
right here.
Very,
Revocable,
very important. Yeah.
revocable trust that become charitable trust.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the IRS is starting to look at your trust, your revocable trust, your instrument as a private foundation. So when people look this up in their system, some people say, what do I find revocable trust in their system? What does it look like?
Right.
That's what this looks like in their system right here.
And the sole proprietor being with the tax filing Schedule C, you know,
Exactly.
and that's very important also.
Exactly. And you see, look right here, it says number one, all unexpired interests in the trust are charitable. And the trust governing instrument. See the governing instrument they talk about?
Yeah.
So they even give you the answer right here on the IRS website. The trust governing instrument provides that the trustee is required to hold some or all the net assets in trust.
Yes.
It
I'm
says
looking at
after
it.
becoming irrevocable solely for charitable beneficiaries.
Yep. Sorry for charitable. Yep. I
Okay,
see.
so that's showing that once the trust instrument shows, once the person passes away, the trust becomes irrevocable. That's why they show us a revocable trust. It's
That's
a
right.
simple cycle they have of a private foundation for those who want to understand how you run the business. This is where it starts at with the trust. Learning itself has a private foundation of what they're talking about in their system. Then they'll go into all these layers of starting out how you use that, like you were talking about the EIN application and so on. The next one I want to talk about as we close, but I hope that answered all the questions. Um, do you have any last comments or anything to give the people about dealing with the IRS, Madutio? And then I'm going to go into the banking system credit line for a moment. Are you still there? All right. Okay, so we lost Madutio. Oh, so let's go right into the banking of the trust. So I wanted to make sure that you all saw that the revocable trust was listed in the IRS system too, where you can see what it falls under most of the time whenever you think of a trust or an instrument. That document that we talked about is on the county record. That's what they'll look at. They'll see this trust instrument, in the system this way. All right, so we got our next section we'll get into is I wanted to talk about the banking system as we had on our notes. And the last thing we talked about was why does it take so long to get the treasury check? What's the difference between the 1040 and the 1041? Next topic we have is how do I create lines of credit at banks? How do I create lines of credit at banks? This is a interesting topic as we understand once you get the treasury check, what am I supposed to do? How do I get my trust to interface with the banking system? So I wanted to go into the answer from earlier, and I thank you all for all your testimonials and everything we talk about because this can give other people some experience on what you're supposed to do with the IRS and why this fits under certain situations. So I wanted to talk about the converting all of your credit cards, the converting all credit cards after execution of a revocable trust, and obtaining an EIN printout. So you want to be able to convert all your credit cards, even if it's a regular credit card, an American Express, a Citibank, any of these cards at any point can be converted into a revocable trust. Now, I did all the homework for you all in this article right here. So if you want to get access to this article, this is written back in 2023. You'll be able to convert all your credit cards the day that you executed your revocable trust. So the way you communicate the trust to the bank is specifically through the credit card company. Now, right here, going to give you an example of why they talk about the revocable trust. Through the credit card, you got Capital One. I think I went over this article in the past. Some of us may have remembered. One of our examples, Capital One. So as you see, Capital One mentions revocable living trust. They have an interface where you give them the revocable living trust and they'll convert your credit over to a revocable trust. They have a whole process where you all can directly communicate with each of these companies. Let's use another for example. Let's say give me a credit card company. Anybody give me an example of a credit card company? We'll see how you interface with your credit card company with a revocable trust. Let's type it in the chat. Okay. No, that's not a credit card company. Discover. There we go. Let's use Discover. Interesting. There we go. So I found Discover for y'all real time. That's how we do these research projects for you. All right. So if you have a Discover credit card, according to what we found so far, you can convert that Discover credit card into a revocable trust. They ask you how this, look at this. It's so simple. This is interesting. They said there are two forms must be completed to open this deposit for a trust. Formal trust application and a trustee certification. Look at this trustee certification. So being the trustee of the revocable trust activates this account. So they're going to convert that account into this trust. Look right here, title of trust, this legal name of someone else you gave the trust. Smith Family Trust. Interesting. All right, so I hope this helps with Discover. So this was great for me to give a real-time operation, how I'll be able to find that information right here. Filling out this information for the trust, the trustee, and so on. Any thoughts, questions, or shares on how you're going to convert, as we talked about in this article over here? How do you convert your credit card, right? You're in a credit card now. And what you want to do, you want to be able to become what they call the creditor, right? You're the creditor now. I'll see if I can share this article.
Got a question, Wallace, about what happens to the debt once it goes from the individual side over to the trust.
Oh, the debt. Let's see what you mean. Oh, you're saying the credit card closed, or is the credit card still open?
Open. Yeah, to have an existing card that's still open, would it go to a do not pay, do not collect status, or is that not the right thinking?
No, no, it'll convert right back to the same thing that you were using. Right? So let's say if you have a credit limit of $9,000, right? And your credit limit shows you have $8,900 that you have to pay because you only got $100 credit right now. It's going to convert it over just the same way it looked. So you have to pay for it to I guess, replenish your credit. It'll just have the name of your trust on there now. Think of it like a conversion. You're converting your account. It's coming over to you as a trust. Right, you're taking over. It says after becoming age of majority, which by law means you are no longer a minor or bound under the rulers of this world government policies, authority, and decisions. That's where the revocable trust comes in. That's why I say you take over guardianship. So I hope this looks this way, the same way with the credit cards. We got Discover, we got that option. Somebody said MasterCard. If you got a credit card from MasterCard, it probably works the same way. We also got Capital One, talks about revocable living trust. All right. So any other thoughts, questions, or shares on the credit card? And I'll get into your banking system next. All right, let's go right into the banking system. And why the treasury checks are held so long. Okay, we have MasterCard. I'll look into MasterCard later for us right quick and make sure. I want to type in. How did I type it in last time? MasterCard. It says, what are the steps of setting up a savings trust, how to convert? It says it on Capital One. It doesn't say MasterCard. I'm quite sure if we call their trust department, they'll probably have something that you can do with MasterCard. Okay, let's get right into, go ahead, Sister Sandra, see your hand.
Yes, in your article, it says that we are to stop using debit cards once we convert.
Right, right. So you're gonna not use the debit card to pay for things over time. Right. So if you are still using your debit card, I'm gonna talk about that next once you've done your line of credits at the bank. Well, yes, so that is the answer. You eventually don't want to use your debit card.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So hope this helps with the credit. So if you have a regular credit card in your social, this works for the personal side where you can convert the personal account into a trust account. All right, our next one we're going to have on the screen as an office. Any other thoughts to the credit card? And we'll go to the banking system. Okay, so my next diagram I have for you in the banking system and why they actually regulate your social until you have a revocable trust. They have a whole article archive of why you have to have a revocable trust to manage your accounts. If you don't have a revocable trust or you're not using it, you're not using the instrument, they're going to continue to manage your deposits. That's why they call it deposit insurance regulations. Because if that deposit goes over a certain FDIC insurance, then they have a certain thing that they do with those funds. So we know that that's all listed here. And they have the delegations and authority to other general officers and agencies of the heads of so on, what they write in this article about the revocable trust accounts. So I wanted to get into the FDIC to show where this information is coming in from the banking system. So where you can see that the revocable trust is mentioned through the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So has anybody ever heard of the FDIC? Where do you see this at? If this is your first time hearing about the FDIC, where do you all remember seeing this at before when you seen the FDIC?
At a bank or credit union?
On the ATM.
All right, heard a few answers. Somebody else? What was the other answer? That's right, at a bank, a ATM, a place where the banking system is used, right? They always have that sign right there. It says FDIC, right? So that's what you're going to be dealing with too when you have a revocable trust. They have a whole entire section on revocable trust for you all to look into. And you want to make sure you understand this because this is the system that regulates the insurance that you're supposed to be able to know how to claim. So right here it says the FDIC is adopting an interim rule to simplify and modernize its deposit insurance rules for revocable trust accounts. See, so we want to make sure we see when Vince, he was mentioning the revocable trust accounts, he was speaking of something that is true. And we see also finding it in the FDIC that the deposit insurance rules for revocable trust are found. The FDIC's main goal in implementing these revisions is to make the rules easier to understand and apply without decreasing coverage currently available for revocable trust account owners. The FDIC believes that the interim rule will result in faster deposit insurance determinations after depository institutions' closings and will help improve public confidence in the banking system. Wow. So they're trying to create a new way to get the trust to not have no problems with the funds that's coming in these accounts. So we're going to start getting to some numbers. The interim rule eliminates the concept of qualifying beneficiaries. Also, for account owners with revocable trust accounts totaling no more than $500,000, coverage will be determined without regard to the beneficial interest. Wow. Look at this. The beneficial interest of each beneficiary in the trust. Wow. So they're going up into a $500,000 layer for these revocable trust accounts, or the trust account that's used for the revocable living trust. It's interesting. Under the new rules, a trust account owner with up to 5 different beneficiaries named in all his or her revocable trust accounts. Wow. This is interesting. So they're saying each of the beneficiaries have to be named actually through the banking revocable trust account. At one FDIC insured institution will be insured up to $100,000 per beneficiary. Wow. Revocable trust account owners with more than $500,000 and more than 5 different beneficiaries named in the trust will be insured for greater or either $500,000 or the aggregate amount of all the beneficiaries' interest in the trust, limited to $100,000 per beneficiary. Wow, so that goes right into the numbers. I just wanted to go into a brief background to where we got more knowledge and information on the banking system and how the banking system was also utilized for the revocable trust accounts that we were talking about, and how the revocable trust account is used through your regular account that you have at the bank. So any questions or thoughts about this revocable trust account that you will get at the banking system?
So my question is that accessible credit once the bank account is open?
Well, it does say you get a limit of beneficial interest of up to 500,000. Oh, was that playing twice? It says up to $500,000 coverage right here. It says that they're giving you now. So we got people who get checks that's higher than that. It may not go through. You may not be able to cash the check. I hope that helps with the layer of the amount, I guess. It said $100,000 per beneficiary. $100,000 per beneficiary. Right. It's speaking on what's covered. So that means if you're covered, that's how much you can receive. That's the way you think about it. You're covered because you can put this amount in this account. All right, anybody have any questions on this? Because we want to make sure when you get the treasury checks, just the way, there's two ways it works. You got your sole prop, and you also have your revocable living trust account. All right, so that gives more answers to the banking system, but I want to get more into the answers to the announcements of the credit. And some of us may ask the question like, why? How do I create credit lines at the bank? How do I get these lines of credit at the bank? So I would say if we want to start off, if you have a trust, it tells you you can get up to $500,000 line of credit. So everyone here, if you have a revocable trust, you want to start thinking, hey, how can I get up to about $500,000 line of credit? Let's go to a banking system that you can do that. I gave y'all the example last week. We talked about Bank of America and how with Bank of America, they allow you to receive a certain amount of money inside a certain account. They want you to choose the business side. So when you go to business, they give you all types of businesses and different accounts you can open up. Now, this is where the line of credit always goes to because you have to understand how to open up a revocable living trust account. You also need to understand how to open up a sole proprietor business account. That's how you're going to be able to create your lines of credit at banks. That's why we have a private banking course that goes into the understanding of creating this credit. I'm going to get into this layer a little bit later as I go right into our next question in just a few. And this will talk about which bank that you want to start with. So I'm using Bank of America as an illustration. I'm not saying this the bank that everybody should use, but we can show you, they can tell you exactly how much money that fits your business right here. So up to $1 million. Some of us may have to think of more money. I just went into how the trust has to get at least over $300,000. Right? It has to get at least over 300. Really at least 200 because it says each beneficiary needs $100,000 insurance. So we have to start thinking like, how do I receive more money? So we can open up ourselves to more funds first. Some of us are ready for the 1 million to the 50 million. See how they jump? They don't give you just a little bit of funds when you start thinking about the businesses gaining lines of credit with the banking system. All right, so you jump from $1 million to now 50 million. Right, we went 1 million to 50 million. If you're ready to jump from 50 million, look at this, 50 million to what? 2 billion. Wow. Leaps and bounds. These people are just saying if you're ready to go with $50 million, you should be ready to get to 2 billion. Then you got your last one, more than 2 billion. So the trust is not a place where you just sit with a little bit of funds. This is not $100,000, we'll say, process. You can't use the trust with just $100,000. The trust has to get, we'll say, they'll just say, I'm just starting out. They'll tell you here, but they're really telling you that this trust or these accounts that you create here on the business side need to be at least $300,000 or more. And it moves you from the personal side to the business side. That's the first thing I wanted to teach us, is that they have a whole different system on the personal side. If I choose, they won't even let me choose the personal, because I tried choosing it a few times. But when you choose the personal side, it looks different. The screen looks different. Here we go. The screen looks this way. You have personal credit cards. I was telling you to convert those to the revocable trust. They will convert it at Bank of America too, for some of those who have the credit cards at Bank of America. The home loans, they can be converted. If you got a loan at the bank, it can be converted. Now, how do you pay it off? That's going to get into later with the beneficial interest with the taxes that you file. So this is the personal side. Let's get into the business side. So the business side is where you want to go. All right, so now from there, I think where we went into last time, we went into this part, the small businesses. This is where we start at. We're not here at the mid-size, because I just went in. If you're at a mid-size business, we already know that you got $1 million already. You already got the $1 million. So we're not going to say anybody here has the $1 million. We're going to theoretically say everybody's is ready for the 300,000. 300,000, right? So once you're ready for the 300,000, this is where you start at right here, the small businesses. Then you get into this credit right here. But I went into last week, we talked about the credit. So that gets into my next question is, why do I need to start off with a secured credit card first before opening unsecured? Why do I need to start off with a secured credit card first before opening an unsecured? As we say, when you get your treasury checks, we have a strategy where we tell you how to get the secured line of credit. So this is what I was talking about. Just wanted to jump right to the answer. Well, it tells you right here, the secured line of credit. As you can see, you can do this at Bank of America in real time. Now you got to start off with about $1,000 security deposit. About $1,000 security deposit when you graduate over time to this. This is what they're saying. Graduate to unsecured line of credit over time. Security deposit start at $1,000. All right, so you start at $1,000 when you build the secured loan or the secured line of credit. It says great for small businesses with at least $50,000 in annualized revenue in 6 months in business. Right, so that's for a lot of people. We're learning how you're supposed to see this from the business side of the banking system. Any questions or thoughts about this right here? So this is your starting line amount right here. Starting at $1,000, you need at least that amount that can pay your bill, pay your expenses. And once you do this part, some of us say, okay, I can't get past this because they may have, stopped me or blocked me from filling out the application. I can't go through the application for you, but I can only tell you there's something that we need to fill out the way through the trustee, fill it out as a trustee. And if you need more help, we can do one-on-one walkthroughs and how to do this through your, I guess, books. Because everyone has different books and the way it looks to them. Now, our last question to go into, where I'm gonna go back a little bit to go to where we went to the loans. Just for those who started, how do I get to this first part? Well, you have to create a loan. Create a loan through the secured line of credit first. You also have a secured term loan. That's your biggest one right here. It's for your big time project. Some of us may have a big time project already going. We already know that you can just go ahead and put about $25,000. So this is where it started at about 25,000. If you got 25,000 sitting in the bank right now, you can go ahead and create this they call secured business loan. The minimum they say your annual revenue needs to be is 250,000. So that goes back to my numbers I told you all earlier that I said that you need to make sure that you're thinking that your business is starting to make over $250,000. You'd also show at least 2 years in business. They're giving you all the answers. You have the answers here. So the 2 years in business, we say, is your 2 years of the Schedule C. So if you have your Schedule C for the last 2 years, this should help you with making sure your name and your social is showing that it's in business. We also have the minimum amount. We tell you to add up all your debts, your bills, expenses. It should show up on there as your annual revenue. So secured business loans was talked about before. We'll also go into secured credit card right here. Cards that build or strengthen your credit. Build your business credit, earn unlimited cash back. You're going to start here too. You can start off if you want to just grab the secured credit card. You can do it inside the bank if you want to do it that way. We can do it right on their website. As you see, they ask you for the federal tax ID number, which is your social at a certain, when you start to fill this out for your social. If you're going to do it for the trust, you put the trust information here too. All right, so that is the end of the secured credit that you'll be able to use first before you open up a unsecured. The reason you want to do this secured first is because the secured is going to be where your cash goes, and your cash is going to be able to pay off your unsecured credit cards. All right, so I hope that helps in how you get to the point once you receive the funds. I know that can be the hardest thing to think about first, because some of us may get the funds and then we don't know what to do with it. So I'll go to our last thoughts for today. In my diagrams, I'll close this for here. And our next thing we're going to talk about is, how do I get the bills paid in the meantime without any money or cash? What do I do to get money while waiting for money? This is a great question that was put out because we still, even knowing all this information, even knowing how to go through the banking system, even having the trust instrument, having everything in place, what do I do in the meantime? How do I get some money? It's a very good question, right? So what we talked about is, what I would say in my brain, I would hope to add up all of my debts for the whole year. It's in December at this point, right? Then I have my tax returns from last year, I have the tax return from the year before. I just have the numbers there. Once I have the numbers there, I can now start thinking of how much more funds I need to bring in. Then I can do something called a service, or I provide a product. I talked about this last time in one of our lives. We talked about the 1099B method, where you're supposed to always barter and exchange your services. Barter and exchange service, or you barter and exchange some type of value, something that's valuable. It's difficult if we don't feel that there is some type of value that we can do. So we'll get into some of these answers as we go. What do I do in the meantime while I'm waiting for money? So I want to be creative, and I wanted to give anyone else a thought to, what do you think is something that can be bartered? What do you feel that can be bartered and exchanged? And let's say you do this, you get cash that comes back from it. How would that look to you? What would that look like to you? And I yield for now.
I had a question before you got into that question real quick. You said that the base, well, my understanding is once you get for example, the beneficial interest and you open these accounts, you create a line of credit through a secure credit by just funding it, right? If you have it available to help build a credit, is that the right understanding of that, real quick?
Yes, correct. That is the correct understanding.
Okay.
Where you're gonna put that on the business, right? Which is your sole, your sole prop account, your trust account, what we just read about in the FDIC.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So yeah, when you have the funds, you got to have somewhere to put them. So we tell you to start off with the secured. If it just sits there in the bank account, it's going to sit on the checking account, which we understand that's going to be the debit card. So that's why the question was asked earlier, does the money sit on the debit card? The answer is no. You don't want the money to sit just on the debit card. If anything, it should be in the savings account. But let's say I don't have no money. Let's say I don't have no money. I can't even do anything right now. I don't have no money. This is what anyone can say right now, right? Well, how do I get the bills paid in the meantime without any money or cash? What do I do to get money while waiting for money? It's a good question. Let's pick our brain. Let's see what do you all think is a reasonable thing to do to receive funds while we're waiting on the treasury checks? What are we supposed to do? All right, you all let's be creative. Let's think about it. We have to be realistic. Some would say get a job. While I'm waiting on the treasury check, go get a job. Right? That could be an easy, and someone can just tell you that. Anybody have any other creative answers? Okay, Sister Sandra.
Um, I heard, I don't know how to do it, but isn't there a way to pay our bills using our EIN, the trust EIN? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it can be used to pay the bill, but I know you can create new accounts with it. But I do know that you can make it non-taxable. That's what I was learning recently about the non-taxable exempt. That's an answer. So yeah, that can be one answer.
Yeah, I sort of heard that if we use the EIN number and sent it into the IRS, along with the bill, I don't know how exactly, but I did hear there's a way to pay your bills like that. I've never done it, but I've heard other people say they did it.
Is just staying active on the 1099.com website because with the bills while you wait.
Um, I mean, that still doesn't pay the bill though. You know, what am I gonna do? You know, the utility people, utility bill. This is where it gets creative, y'all. We have to pick our brains. How do we do this? What do we do? How do I negotiate? What can I do? Let's negotiate with these people now, right?
One way would be bartering services if you were in position to do that with that particular biller.
Well, yeah, if they accept it. So, I'm just going into just realistically, how do we do this? Because let's say you do turn the 1099-B and it's still processing, right? We still have to pay the bill until the beneficial interest shows up. So this is why we went into the part with the secured credit card, right? So let's say that the secured credit card shows up, or let's say that you have a way to get a line of credit, an unsecured line of credit, right? That's the only way that most people will go. They'll use the unsecured line of credit to pay the bill but now you have to pay the bill and you have to pay the unsecured line of credit. So we know the treasury check is going to come, but like we see, Brother Madutiel gave us some realistic situations. The treasury may say, hey, well, look, give us another 60 days. Give us another 180 days. Right? What do we do in these meantime? We got to come into strategies of how this barter and exchange actually works. So I went into some of these examples before. We talked about some of your services that you can offer. I know some of us haven't went into that. How much does it cost for you to keep your house, like housekeeper services and things like that? What's another one that we have? Traveling, transport services. Salary, right? What's the salary? So I'll pull that up on the screen just to give us some motivation. Some of us may have seen ourselves around the house or possibly just taking care of the house. Another person said handyman. But if we just overtake the whole entire position, we'll just call that person a housekeeper. That's right. If you're paying rent, you are considered this housekeeper. You paying rent. It's also a necessary, as they used to say in past time, they call them domestic workers or women. A person responsible for the supervision of house cleaning and kitchen staff, particularly being in charge of all female staff, housekeeper. So that was some domestic worker perspective. But we're going into modern times now. We're into the modern times. How much does a housekeeper get paid on Indeed? The average salary for a housekeeper in this area, what it says in my area, says $16.25 per hour. That translates about $650 per week, $2,816 per month, $33,000 a year. So that's a housekeeper. It's just somebody, any of us, we all keep in the house. Another person said handyman. Let me go to housekeepersalary.com and see what they say. $27,000 average salary. So let me go to the one that say handyman. Handyman service salary for the men. Give me another service too. Anybody know?
Cooking.
Cooking. There we go. Handyman. Look at this, handyman. Handyman is also known as a handy person or handy worker, maintenance worker, maintenance man, repair worker, or repair technician. Is a person who is knowledgeable in such skills as basic, whatever it continues says, right? So average salary of a handyman in the United States is $23.61 per hour. That's says the average entry level handyman can earn about $42,657 a year. All right. So anybody have any thoughts to how this looks if you have to think about something in the meantime? How do you get the system to look up what you're doing right now and you equate the number to what you're doing? That's what I think we should think about. Some of us may do pet sitting. We don't even know. You may be pet sitting. How much is pet sitter salary? Pet sitter services, $16.41 per hour. Pet sitters earn between $1,500 and $100 per session. Interesting. For all of my people who have pets. Average pet sitter is around $37,000 a year. Can range from $10,000 to $62,000. Give me another one. Anybody got another one? Somebody
Yes,
said
this is for the ladies, personal shopper.
Personal shopper. I like that. Let's see that. Then we also got dishwasher. Somebody said dishwasher. Personal shoppers. Salary for it actually pops up. Look at this. The average annual salary is approximately 33,000 a year. Some personal shoppers earn higher salaries, an average of 75,000 in some regions. Personal shopper. Somebody said dishwasher. So if you just wash the dishes every day, even if it doesn't matter. Dishes is valuable. I know some people may not see it. Washing on dishes, dishwasher services. We got dishwasher service making about $24,000 a year. $15 an hour. I guess we got to equate these to the household. That'll make it a lot easier through the trust. Make it a lot easier to think about. Somebody said security. Private security. Because you got the trust now, it's private security. And we actually going to need that soon. If y'all start getting some funds, you got to start thinking about security. Salary for private security services. Average salary for private security officers is about $65,000, $374 a year. Private security guard is around $25,479 a year. That's all the person does is secure it by standing in front of your property with a shirt on that says security and armed or unarmed, based on what they say about security. Interesting. So that these people get paid just for standing and securing the property.
Business manager.
Business manager, got you. Let's go to private chef. Salary for private chefs can vary action on location. In my location, it's telling me private chefs makes about $25 per hour, translating in about $53,600 a year. It's probably more in bigger cities. So like, don't quote my area of where private chefs may make. They may make way more than this certain areas. Let me just type another state for y'all. Let's say, for instance, California. Look at that. Jumps up to $89,000. Approximately $89,463. All right, so that's in California. So whatever state you want to go to that detail, you can go to your detail if you want to go that far to your state. All right, so let's go to the other one. We have business manager, and let's go to private doctor after that. Business manager, sir. That's what it was, business manager.
Yes.
Average salary for business manager in Florida varies on specific role. A business service manager, approximately $138,283. Business manager average salary is around $76,000 per year. Business manager average salary is about $119,950. Business service managers average salary $81,000. See, this is exactly what it says a business manager gets paid just for managing a business. That's what it says. That's when you're simplifying it.
Because, technically in doing this work, we really can say that we're all business managers.
Correct. Just because you have the EIN, the EIN printout, the trust instrument, instantly you're a business manager. You got business service manager, and it's another source, and we got business services manager because you got to provide services. So someone has to manage the services that's provided for that business. And look, they're even making $81,233 a year. And so we got the next one. That's a good one for business managers. If anybody thought about any services, private doctor. Somebody put private doctor. Of course, you got to have some type of credentials to make sure everyone's safe. But let's see if they have private doctor services. All right, so average salary for a private doctor is about $92,948 per year. Average doctor in Florida is around $227,315 per year.
A natural health practitioner.
Well, this one says family medicine is $310,000 per year. If you're a doctor that can do family medicine in the area for like a family office, they call them. And you said naturopathic doctor, right? Natural.
Natural health. Natural health.
Okay, natural. Yeah, they call them naturopathic. So the average salary for a naturopathic physician in Florida is approximately $77,000 per year. Top earners make up to $108,357,000. That's just in Florida. All right, so we got some good thoughts today on in the meantime, right? This is in the meantime. We're not saying this is something you're gonna do forever, but we have to think of something in the meantime that's gonna be able to get us some type of cash flow until the treasury check comes. Whatever we can think about. I know some didn't talk about this one. How much does a consultant services? Consultant services salary. Average salary consulting United States is $135,125 with a range of $66,000 to $203,000. Average salary for consultant services, $83,000 per year. Service consultant, $108,000, $148,000. Wow. So just open up our mind to these things. A consultant is a professional who provides advice or services in an area of specialization. Consulting services generally fall under the domain of professional services as contingent work. So all of us can be both. You can be a business manager, you can be a consultant, you can be a housekeeper. You got a lot of stuff going on. All right, so that closes from our parts of the we'll say from what do we do in the meantime if we're trying to get some money. Now there is ways that you can kind of hold or stall, maybe make a negotiation, an agreement to say, hey, can you push the bills back for about a couple of months until I get my treasury check? Or can we work out a deal where maybe I can apply for some credit at this bank and then I use that money to pay off the bill for the next 5 months or so, right? These are the strategies we got to think of until you get that treasury check. Once you get the treasury check, you have to use the treasury check wisely. As we understand, the treasury check doesn't come around as fast as we want it to come. Once you get it right and the system understands it, that's when the treasury check will start coming a lot faster, which we'll talk about how to make sure that our direct deposits and things come into the system correctly at a certain point. So I'll close on that question. What do I got to get money what do I do to get money while waiting for money? That hopefully answers some of the questions on some of us in the meantime. What are we going to do? How do I get some funds in the meantime? So let's close out with our last parts for Q&A. As we go into this part, we say review for 2026. Let's answer a question. We say, is there an acceptable letter from the IRS warning the amount could be used as account receivable? Yes, that is something that we thought of using, where we show that the IRS shows that we're getting paid, where I was going to say we use our tax return. So that's why we go right back to the answer. You go back to your bank, you use your tax return, you negotiate with your bank and say, hey, I got these bills. Can you work with me? I need some money so I can pay off these bills. But you get the money through your banking system with your credit. That's the best way to work that other part. If some of us have done our tax returns, you use your last 2 years of your tax returns, or maybe 3 years, and maybe your bank will help you get some funds. Like I say, add up your total amount for the whole year. So when you go to the bank, you say, well, look, this is how much I need every month so I can live comfortably. Can you give me this amount of money? Put a little bit on top so that way you have some to pay back. But from there, make sure that you're paying off all your bills, your debts, and your expenses on a monthly base. That's the first thing. We want to make sure those things are paid on a monthly base for up to 12 months. Sometimes 6 months. If you can do half a year, that's a great thing just to get started. So do 6 months. And if you've mastered it, it'll be you've paid your bills off for the whole year. That's the goal. Everybody that's here, once you get funds. Any thoughts, questions, or shares on that? Then I'll get into the review for 2026. We'll talk about the 1040 used for the Free Tax USA and the 1041 for taxat.com.
Yes. So are you saying that we are to take whatever business title and the salaries and amounts? Let's say I say that I use business manager, and then I am to go into the bank and where I have my sole proprietor and let them know that I am expecting a treasury check in whatever amount, and try to negotiate with them for funds that will tide over until the check comes. Is that what we're saying tonight?
I apologize. I'm sorry. My mic went. Oh, my mic went out. Can you hear me? All right. Hear me now. Well, yes. That last part. Can you make it where you're saying the amount that you're getting for the treasury check? How do you get that total amount first? Can you explain how you got to the total amount for the treasury check? How did you get to that first?
Oh, my assumption is when we say that we're waiting for a treasury check, we have some indication of the amount that's going to be coming to us.
Well, I mean, you're using your tax return, right? So it shows your refund on the tax return. It also shows all of your expenses and your bills. So that's why we like to leverage our tax return when communicating with the bank, because ultimately they can give you the credit the same day to pay off your bills.
Okay, that sort of was my question. So we know how much the refund is going to be, and we can go in and leverage with them for whatever our needs are, so we can get funds until the actual check comes in. Right? Is that what you're right?
Answer to start off waiting until you get your treasury check, right?
Yes.
That's for those who understand the beneficial interest and you're waiting, like say, hey, I've been waiting 9 months. I've been waiting 30 days. So that's the point. You're going to do something where you leverage what you have, which is your treasury, not your treasury, but your tax returns. And that's what you communicate with the banking system. All right. So that answers the questions to that part. How do you get those tax return? That goes to our review for 2026, and we'll be closing out. The 1040 is for your social name and number. You use the online software, freetaxusa.com. Online software, freetaxusa.com. If you're going to be doing the trust EIN with the trust name and number, you're going to use the online software, taxact.com. That's going to be a different software we use. We don't use the taxact.com for the sole proprietor or the social filing because it charges you. So we don't use TaxAct for the social filing. We use freetaxusa.com. Next is the 1099s equal the social name and number. You also do 1099s for the trust name and number. That's going to be on tax1099.com. We use the tax1099.com software because it's a lot easier to understand the W-9 process as well. So that is a good software. It works out pretty well. Tax1099.com. Utilize the software to file all taxes up to date from 2022 to 2024. So that's what you're doing. You're going to do this in real time. Like we heard from others, they had to go back 5 years. Some of us go back 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Some of us have already filed our taxes. That's fine. You can amend those taxes if you want to through the software. Utilize the software to file all your taxes up to date from 2022 to 2024. The IRS only allows you to go back 2 to 3 years to get the refund at certain points. Now, we saw that they actually can let you do it if you do it correctly. As far back as needed, maybe we heard a testimony, someone went back 5 years. So it depends on your situation. If you do it correctly, you should be able to get all your funds back for all the years that you did not claim your interest on the basic level. And then we'll get into the beneficial interest where you file the ABB later on. But we're not talking about that on a all the time method. We're saying on the base level, most of us have tax refund money sitting there because we never got our tax withholdings back on our checks, your W-2s, as well as other things that's been withheld on your social. So that's the most basic one to get back first, the tax withholdings. After you do that, you're going to utilize the tax 1099. You're going to utilize the 1099 software to file all bills and expenses for 2025 that will be ready to submit to the Treasury online in January 2026. Because if you do it now, it's going to say we're not able to submit it until January 2026. So that's everything that we do. If you had to get started in this process, you have a revocable trust. Your goal is to use the 3 softwares we just mentioned. The freetaxusa.com, you have taxact.com, then you have tax1099.com. I'll pull up as a screen tax1099.com just to kind of give an example of what it looks like. So what you'll be doing is you'll be filling out all these entities and information into the system through software. You're not going to do it the old-fashioned way where you fill it out with the paper. You should be able to log right into the system like I'm doing here. And once you log in, you should be able to go straight to the forms. So we have simplified everything. There is nothing new to do. There's nothing new. Everything is done the same way that we understand. As I get into the 1099Bs, you're expected to put all of your 1099Bs for 2025. If you gave money or you had a biller, you're able to get the EIN for that biller and you're able to add that information here. So that's what we do walkthroughs for. We help you utilize the software correctly. We make sure that you understand how to do these things. This is exactly what you're doing all this stuff for. As you can see right here, it says all the 1099s that we have on the software is right here. You got your A, your B. That's what everybody's talking about, your A and your B. All right, so that goes into the answers of what you're doing with the software and how you can use that information to, we'll say, do your taxes for each of your billers. Any questions or thoughts on how to get access to the software? Because this is your first step. Get very comfortable with using the software. Because nothing's going to happen until you type in this information. We have all the knowledge to know if the IRS accepts everything, if it's rejected, if it's blocked, if it's on hold. We know what's going to happen with the form if we do it correctly. If the IRS accepts it, then what are you going to do? We'll tell you how to do what you need to do when the IRS accepts it. But some of us have a lot of this information, but there's nothing happening. So you can have it, but you can still have to pay for some type of walkthrough of something, even if you haven't got to the answer. Because there's no way to get to the answer unless we can see what the problem is. Outside of that, that's really all we can say about the tax 1099. I know it's something that can be difficult for the first time if I'm not tech savvy, if I don't understand computers, or I've never used this software before. That's fine. There's other software similar to it. We're just giving you the fundamentals to where and how to do this knowledge and information. So that's what we mean by utilize the 1099 software to fill out your bills and expenses for 2025. This needs to be ready to go to submit in January 2026. As you can see, the software will tell you this. Now, all my people who have mastered 2025, you're finished. Now go back to 2024. You can go and start doing your amendments for 2024 if you want to go back and do 2024. Any questions or thoughts to the tax 1099 software? I know that this is something that we could spend too much time on. It only takes you about maybe 15 minutes to go through your 1099s. Shouldn't take you pretty much all day. I don't think someone should be sitting on this software more than 30 minutes. That's your max time. All right, so our next software we talked about was Free Tax USA. This is what you want to use to get into the software here, Free Tax USA. Any questions? I hear somebody on the mic.
I had a quick question on the 1099. The tax 1099 you're saying is for past years or only for your 1099s?
Okay, let's go back. So you're saying, I hear somebody else saying. Yes, so the 1099s are for each of your billers. So it'll be for everything. It could be for 2025. That's for now. So you got January of 2025 all the way to December of 2025. That's for now.
Yeah, okay. I'm just now. I don't know about the tax 1099s because let's say if we was doing like you're at the Free Tax USA, I know that they have 1099s there. So I'm confused about the use of the tax 1099.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we got somebody to mute out. Somebody in the background.
Did you have a threesome with your sister?
Hello? Oh, oh wow, that's crazy. All right, so the next thing I was going to say is the tax 1099 is to show that you have the EIN of the other person has been approved, right? Was we talked about. You do your 1099B. So you can't turn those in until January. On this software, you can turn it in the software at the same time. So you should be turning all this stuff in at the same time, the way we see it. So you have three softwares. This software, the Free Tax USA, the Tax 1099, and then you have your other trust, the EIN, the trust EIN. You fill that out with the Tax Act that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. So yes, you have to use the Tax 1099 software also. You have to do that and get it accepted, get it approved, just to make sure you've crossed your T's and dotted your I's.
Okay, so you take that information and transfer it over to your tax act in your Free Tax USA.
It's not a transfer, it should match.
It should match. Okay.
Yes, it should match. It should be exactly what's on that 1099 printout that I got right here. Is why we're even putting it on the 1040. So
Okay.
that's what that is right here. So you have to see it from the software. That's why we like to tell people to walk through the software, get familiar with the software.
Yes.
Log in during your time, log in on your iPhone, log in on your while you're waiting or something, so we can get familiar with this. That's what all the information is going on this right here. So that answers the question to the software and the 1099s, how you're getting used to this, how you're going to use it. If I had to type my information in, it'll show what I'm working on right now currently. So I won't be able to publicly show that at the time right now, but I just wanted to give you that software. Free Tax USA is the second software that you're going to be logging in and get an understanding how to use. Some people know how to use it already. That's great. But we got to make sure that you don't have any errors. You typed in the right information. So I don't have that much time. I'm just going to go to your last software. Just kind of give you all the last one. It's going to be taxact.com. We talk about this a lot, taxact.com, because with taxact.com, this is going to help you learn how to use the trust EIN. And the trust EIN is going to help you with other things that you're doing with tax filing. So that's going to be your 1041 filing that they talked about. You're going to click on for businesses. Do not do the individual side because it costs money. We don't want you to pay the $69 for sole prop. You can do it through free tax. So scroll down here, and it does cost for the estates and trusts. Unfortunately, it does cost $139. So since that costs to do your trust filing, it is something that you can also use as your financial assets or your schedule of assets. That's why we say the trust filing is important, because it moves all of your assets into your trust. That's pretty much it. So we have all the softwares for now on a basic level that we need to get familiar with this whole week until tax season is almost over. You all should be so far ahead of your taxes. You should be done with it before January, first week, second week even hits. That way it's just sitting there waiting in the software for them to submit it, right? So just have it as quick as possible with correct information in the system so that you can get your beneficial interest back as quick as possible. But they tell you, hurry up and wait. So we don't want to be last waiting for a long time. Want to kind of get in that information as quick as possible. So that's our thoughts for today. I went through all of our announcements. I hopefully was able to help pick our brains to understand the banking system, understand what we're doing with these trust instruments, how to utilize, how to operate through this information, and what are we going to do Monday through Friday as we get this information used each day. So with that, I close out from the mic for now, and I open up for comments, questions, and shares, and then we'll be shutting down the system, shutting down the meeting for today. All right, so if there's no more comments, questions, we'll close out. Thank you all for coming. Visit our website, University Technician. Okay, go ahead. I can't hear you. See if anybody's talking and the voice is low on the mic. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I was going to ask you, is this being recorded so we can listen to it again?
Is everything?
I said, is this being recorded, this class, this workshop, so we can listen to it again?
Oh yeah, it's been it's always on our videos. So you go to universitytechnicians.com/videos, and then you should have access to the videos in the near future. It's free on YouTube for now, for I think a limited time.
Okay, because I came in late. Okay, thank you. And this was a great class. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you all for your encouragement. Thank you all for working on this work. You will get your results. It is not a overnight quick fix, but it is a long-term investment. But thank you all for sticking in and stay encouraged. Have a good week.